football on FS1. Alex Faust and Evan Moore here with you as we get you set for this matchup in conference play. Nevada at 2-0. What a difference a year makes. A team that has a little bit more experience. Last year near the bottom in offense. This year they're averaging 37 points per game.
Yeah, it's year 4 for Jay Norvell and his staff. And when you think about the evolving to where they want to get to offensively, boy, does it look like they've arrived or what? It starts with that guy right there, Carson Strong, completing roughly 75% of his passes on the season, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions, number of skill guys on the outside. We're going to see him chuck it around a ton today. But when we talk about skill guys, we'd be crazy not to mention this guy, Romeo Doubs. He's had an outstanding year so far, over 35 yards a catch. Last week against UNLV, 18 yards a catch on the season. Is a true deep threat. Get the ball in his hands early, let him get out and create. He and Carson Strong have something special going so far this year.
Utah State, meanwhile, is kind of used to putting up points, but their offense has been anemic through the first 2 games this year, and they have a big returning piece that hopefully for them will get them back in gear.
Yeah, you know, they've struggled offensively, and it's hurt them on defense as well. Their defense has been on the field too long. They have to find a way to put drives together today and stretch drives out. Jalen Warren, their running back, wasn't available last week. He's available today. He's a guy they can feed. He had 23 carries in week 1. He gives them a chance to extend drives, take some pressure off their quarterback, Jason Shelley, as well. This offense has got to get going today because the defense has a big load going against that Nevada offense.
Mackey Stadium had a beautiful day, 73 degrees at kickoff. Bit of an early kickoff on the West Coast. Utah State, coached by Gary Anderson, probably the biggest run in Utah State history. He was responsible for back in 2012, went 11-2 that season. Second stint with the Aggies for Anderson. And Jay Norvell, you mentioned, having in his 4th season, back-to-back 7-win campaigns, but they think they can challenge for the Mountain West title this year.
Yeah, it's really up in the air as far as obviously going into this season. People thought Boise State was the team to beat. Wyoming, Nevada thought of 2 teams that could challenge them for that. Nevada's already beat Wyoming this year. So another big opportunity here tonight for Nevada.
We'll see how the Wolfpack do at home. 2-0 on the season. Beat Wyoming in overtime. A wild game, 37-33 the final 2 weeks ago. And last week in Las Vegas, dispatched UNLV 37-19. Off we go in Reno. And this kick is fielded by Jamal Bell. Gets a block, bowls over a man, gets to the 25-yard line, and that is where Carson Strong will begin. Well, opening week, he was the Mountain West Offensive Player of the Week. Last week in Encore, 420 yards against UNLV.
I mean, he's been outstanding so far this year. You talk to this coaching staff, offensive coordinator Matt Mumme. They just said, hey, it's been fun watching him play. And the thing I want you to keep an eye on tonight, too, is just the flexibility he has at the line of scrimmage. He's in total control of this offense. There's parameters around him being able to get in and out of plays, but he's generally in the driver's seat as far as getting this team in the right play and moving the ball down the field.
First play from scrimmage. It's out in the flat and caught by Romeo Doubs. We'll come close to a first down, maybe a half-yard short as we give you a look at the Nevada offense starting up front. Their captain, Jermaine Ledbetter, a senior JUCO transfer on the left side of the offensive line. And so much, yes, will be part of the air raid for Nevada, but they have some pretty good runners as well. Toa Taua, 35 in navy blue. A little pitch on a jet sweep for Melquan Stovall. He's tackled for a loss by Shaq Bond.
Yeah, you mentioned Toa Taua. He's a back that has plenty of explosiveness. He's a really physical back, too. And he lets them run the football. We talk about air raid, but they will run the football quite a bit with him.
Now the question is, how will this Aggies defense stack up? They allowed 570 yards of total offense last week to San Diego State, led by Shaq Bond and Cash Gilliam in tackles on the season, but they've been on the field a lot. 2nd and 14 now from the Nevada 31. And the first call for Devontae Lee, their number 2 back. He's ripped down a yard shy of the line to gain.
And Adam, this is the dilemma for Stacy Collins and this Utah State defense. Oftentimes, Carson Strong is going to come up to the line of scrimmage, assess how many guys are in that box between the tackles, and he'll just count. And it's a numbers game. If they feel like they have an advantage with their offensive line, he's going to turn and hand the ball off to Devontae Lee and Toa Taua. Big plays like that on the ground, keep the ball moving.
Gain of 12. There's Lee again. And this time he's tackled short Got back to the original line, brought down by Kevin Metzenheimer. No gain, 4th down.
That's a good job by the Utah State defense. They've really struggled to defend the run the last couple of weeks. We talked about last week against San Diego State, ran for over 400 yards against them. Now, I mentioned earlier, they put their defense in a bind quite a bit because it's tough because offense isn't prolonging drives.
Early moment of this game as Utah State shows pressure. They bring it. And Tawa is tackled for a loss in the backfield, and the Wolfpack turn it over on downs. A big play from Kevin Metzenheimer.
What an outstanding job by Kevin Metzenheimer. This is one of their leaders on defense, probably the smartest player on the defensive side of the ball. Defensive coordinator Stacy Collins mentioned several times this week, he just does a great job of diagnosing things quickly at the second level of the defense and coming up and making a play. I'm actually kind of surprised with the play call. Initially, they had Romeo Doubs out there by himself with about a 6-yard cushion. And I thought we'd see Carson Strong go out there with the ball, but good job by the Utah State defense here early.
Honestly, that's a huge boost for a team that has given up an average of 40 points per game. They'll have a short field to start, and the first touch for Devin Tompkins. Jason Shelley is their quarterback, the junior out of Frisco, Texas, a transfer from Utah.
Yeah, he's had some struggles in the dropback game this year, being a consistent passer. He's like roughly 56% on the season with passing. They want to see him extend plays a little more with his legs, get outside the pocket and extend plays. Nevada had trouble containing that quarterback last week against UNLV.
Shelley steps up, heaves downfield, and he overthrows his man. Intended for Jordan Nathan, his 32nd career start today.
Yeah, Jordan Nathan on the outside, one of the most experienced guys on this team, a senior wide receiver, ends up just running right by the defender, Burdale Robbins. Ball just outstretched over the arms, just a tad overthrown. But again, Jason Shelley's ability to extend plays can be an asset for this offense today. I referenced last week, Nevada and UNLV, they struggled to keep the quarterback in the pocket. That's something I think Utah State in this offense with Bodie Reeder want Jason Shelley to do pretty regularly.
3rd down and 8. From the Nevada 38, and Shelley designed run, cut down immediately. Either that or there was some sort of miscommunication because there was nothing doing.
Shelley ends up taking off to his right, kind of an option play. He reads 35 on the edge and just cuts it up inside. Yeah, Utah State struggled quite a bit last week with 3 and outs. 7 of their 11 possessions they punted, 3 turnovers, and 4 3 and outs. And I mentioned too, against this Nevada offense, it's going to be important for them to try to possess the ball a bit. Not put it back in their hands so quickly.
Yeah, with a short field too. That's a missed opportunity early in this game as ball be down at the 5-yard line. So Nevada, after turning it over on downs, what will they do with this next possession? The Pack back on offense when we return. Nevada back on offense. The more you know. What are we looking at?
Yeah, I think it's important for them to embrace, when Nevada has the ball, embrace a run-pass balance. Yes, there's some air raid concepts, but you look back to last week, San Diego State really ran the ball well against this Utah State defense. Now, Carson Strong, too, for Utah State, you have to make him uncomfortable. Change the picture defensively. He adjusts a lot of things at the line of scrimmage. Don't make it easy for him to diagnose what you're doing. Confuse him a little bit, make him uncomfortable. That could be the difference maker for Utah State.
Wolfpack start their own 5-yard line, and Strong in the end zone, in trouble. He'll be taken down for a safety. Sacked in the end zone by A.J. Vonkpachon. And his 2nd sack of the season is a costly one for Nevada. How about this start for the Utah State defense?
Well, what a start for the Utah State defense. We were told number 98, A.J. Vonkpachon, we know we'd see more of him today as opposed to last week. He's in there for Cash Gilliam, getting some more snaps this week. He's a bigger guy, a former defensive end. It's in there and makes a big play in the end zone to get 2 points for the Utah State offense to start things off.
So already, it's been a challenge. This compounds things just a bit. Their usual kickoff unit has been impacted this week with player unavailable. Julian Diaz usually works kickoffs. But instead, it is Matt Freem who boots this one all the way down to the 2, but out of bounds. This is a reprieve for Jason Shelley and the Aggies offense, who sputtered on their first drive. Jason Shelley hoping to replicate more of that magic here. First play is a 4-yard run, given 5 in the end. Devontae Henry Cole, the transfer from Utah.
Yeah, we mentioned off the top we'd see a lot more of Jalen Warren today. He's back in the lineup, but you still got to expect to see this guy as well. Devontae Henry Cole, the Utah transfer, played in 25 games at the University of Utah. 14 carries on the season coming into this game. It's a big part of this offense.
Second down. Off the fake handoff. Shelley takes off. So that read option comes into play again, and Shelley picks up a first down after a 13-yard run.
This is a counter read, so you're going to bring those 2 backside tackles and pull them over, and then that backside player on the defense, that's the quarterback's responsibility. So he tucks it, gets some positive yards.
And another 5 here on first down with Henry Cole.
Because of Shelley's athleticism, a lot of what they do in the run game has that read option tagged on the backside. Shelley's just got to do a good job of reading that backside defender. That's his guy. And if that guy commits to the running back, he's got to tuck that thing and get yards. They're relying on him to be able to do that.
Pulls it back again. Shelley gets a block. There he goes. Shelley tucks and dives before he's hauled down inside the 20-yard line. Another electric run, 21 yards for Shelley.
Well, this is a really well-designed play by Bodie Reeder. You watch tight end Carson Terrell. They're glad to have him back as well. The senior tight end ends up being a lead blocker after the keep by Jason Shelley, getting positive yards down the field. We thought we'd see more of him scrambling in the run game to extend plays and be a check down. We're seeing a lot more of him in just the...
Shelley to the end zone. And miscommunication with Justin McGriff. He never turned back to look at the ball.
Yeah, we thought we'd see more of this inside the red zone as well. Justin McGriff, in his first year in the program, 6'6", 220-pound wide receiver on the outside. And the key thing here is just be able to get off press coverage. The defender, the defender does a nice job pushing him wide towards the line of scrimmage, not leaving much room for Jason Shelley to throw the football. It's a good defensive play, but that's a weapon for Utah State on the outside to keep an eye on. It's a big receiver at 6'6".
There's Jalen Warren. And Warren with his second touch of the ball game. No inch forward. Gets 7. 3rd and a long goal to go.
Suspect that won't be the first time we call Don Peterson's name tonight. The Nevada defensive linemen's their most active, biggest force up front. It's the game changer on the defensive line position.
From the Nevada 4. Lob pass caught for a touchdown. McGriff hauls it in. And Utah State, after all that, is able to find Pater.
We just said 1 minute ago about this big 6'6" target on the outside. They want to get him more involved today. Instead of running the fade, now they go with the slant on the goal line. Let him get that big body in front of the defender. Well, that's a tall task for a defensive back to try to guard a guy of that size. Nice stick on the outside. Ends up going kind of with a second window throw there. Nice route and nice catch and great throw. Throw it up there and give him a chance.
8-play, 61-yard drive for the Utah State Aggies. What a start. Began the day with some stout defensive work. Here, they engineer a touchdown drive. Now, Utah State has almost hit its season average in scoring, averaging 10 points per game. They're already on 9, and we're not even done with the first quarter.
Yeah, I'm not sure we saw this start to the game, both for the Utah State defense against that Nevada offense, but also Utah State offensively. At the top of the show, we mentioned what they need to accomplish to help their defense out, really, and put drives together. You see there, 8 plays, 61 yards, holding on the ball for about 2 minutes and 50 seconds. And if you're Bodie Reeder, you're thrilled about that, too, because you wanted to get Justin McGriff more involved on the outside. And Jason Shelley sure did look comfortable on that drive as well.
No doubt. Capped off by the first career touchdown for Justin McGriff. From a yard deep. Here's Bell. tripped up. As he gets past the 25, he thought he had more in the bag there. So it's been a struggle for Nevada. Is out in the flat. Tawa makes the grab here. He'll pick up the first down. So the first 3 possessions for Nevada, Evan. Turn it over on downs, safety, 3 and out.
Yeah.
What do they do now?
And, well, I'm watching Utah State's defense because I was anxious to see how they attack Carson Strong. Yeah, we expect them to change the front and change the picture, but you got to be careful about pressuring a guy like that because he's got answers built into what they have offensively. And what I've seen for the most part is Utah State kind of sitting back and playing coverage and forcing him to make tight window throws and just tackling what's in front of them. And they weren't great at tackling last week against San Diego State, but we've already seen an improvement here tonight.
Nevada out to a 2-0 start, but a bit of a scatter shot opening to this game as Strong completes here near midfield. It's Cole Turner. Will pick up 17 out of the 30. They were backed up on first down.
Oh, the Utah State outside linebacker, Nick Henninger, who plays both outside linebacker and will find himself in a defensive end position quite a bit rushing the passer. He speeds things up for Carson Strong. Gets there, forces him out of the pocket. They lose contain, and they find the big Cole Turner down the field. 6'6", 240 pounds. Middle of the field weapon.
Great game to open the season against Wyoming with 119 yards. As Lee gets the call, burrows his way for a couple extra yards. And he'll bring up a third down and manageable here after an 8-yard game.
Yeah, this is not what this Nevada offense has been accustomed to this year. This Utah State defense forcing them to take shorter throws, forcing them to run the football, and basically saying, can you beat us doing this the whole game, right? Can you not make mistakes? Can you make these tight window throws and not throw interceptions if you're Carson Strong? We're not going to give you the explosive plays. We're going to make you do it right in front of us. So far, it's been a successful recipe for the Utah State defense.
Under 2 minutes to play in the first quarter. 3rd down and 5. Strong steps up, trying to locate a man downfield. They'll take a shot to the end zone. It's caught. It's Dubs. Romeo Dubs, one-on-one, could not be stopped. 42 yards for the score, and Nevada is on the board.
Boy, that is a high level of trust between a quarterback and a wide receiver. You see Utah State sows pressure early on. They end up only bringing 4. Carson Strong still has to roll out of the pocket. It's good coverage, right? If you're Cam Lampkin, you really can't cover it much better than that, but there's a big size mismatch there. Romeo Dubs, 6'2", 200 pounds. Cam Lampkin's only 5'9", 170. And if you're Carson Strong, you just give your playmaker a chance, and that's exactly what he did. And Romeo Dubs does what he's been doing all year long, averaging over 18 yards a catch. Big play to get this offense going.
3rd touchdown of the season for Dubs. Caps off a 6-play, 74-yard drive, and the explosive Nevada offense finally gets in gear. They're on the board.
Yeah, we had just been talking that entire drive about Utah State trying to limit explosives, right? That play went the way you wanted it to. You get him out of the pocket. Sometimes you just can't account for playmakers like that. It's tough.
Utah State taking this out to the 17-yard line on the return. Savon Scarver entered in. What was it, 88-yard throwing performance for Strong on that drive. 5 of 6 for 88 yards.
And look, sometimes the ends justify the means. Things have not been pretty for Nevada so far offensively, but a big play like that can bring the energy and give you the spark to get things going.
On first down, carry for Derek Wright. Picks up 4. Well, now we'll see if Utah State has an answer. Remember, they had that spectacular play at the end of the first half against San Diego State. Do they have a little bit more confidence here? 2nd down and 17 now. On the Aggie 11. Shelley, short completion over the middle. And the crossing route, Jordan Nathan will finally get brought down after a gain of 6. Long 3rd down coming up.
Yeah, what that penalty does is it gets Utah State off schedule a little bit because they had hit so much rhythm on their last drive with running Jason Shelley. See some tempo here. It catches Nevada defense off guard.
Wolfpack showing pressure. Final seconds of the quarter. They don't need to snap it. They do. Shelley swings it out. It's juggled and dropped by Henry Cole. And the first play of the second quarter will be an Aggies punt. A wild start to this game, beginning with the safety on a sack in the end zone. Utah State out to the early lead, 9-7 in Reno. Good to see me get the band in. Cheer team, and this is more for students who are participating in these to still have that experience, even though crowds are severely limited due to COVID in the state of Nevada. Romeo Dubs back to receive this punt to begin the second quarter. Third punt of the day for Utah State, and it'll be a short field for Nevada to start. Now, Carson Strong is riding quite the run. 230 consecutive pass attempts without an INT. And I don't want to jinx it here because commentator jinx always comes into play.
I think it's too late for that. This has been talked about on every broadcast that they've played on this year. And it's just a testament to his decision-making, too. Like, we're talking about a sophomore that's in complete control of this offense and also is not turning the ball over, ever, right? Now, there's been enough there for us not to worry about jinxing it, but he's had an outstanding year when it comes to taking care of the football.
Just one interception the last 5 games. This time locates Dubs. 9-yard pickup, first down. Or sorry, a 2nd and 1 coming. And that number, you know, it's interesting because you talk about being a sophomore.
Yeah.
First 6 games, his freshman year, 6 picks.
Yeah.
And the coaching staff was working with him, and they said it's been a very collaborative process to not put him in situations where he would fail.
Look, he was a 63% passer last year. 7 interceptions on the year, played in 10 games.
Towell will pick up the first down here.
Played in 10 games a year ago. And what has happened since then, right? Not much of an offseason at all because of what's happened in 2020 with COVID-19. And a very modified training camp to get ready for this season. They had a very short amount of time, less than a month from the time it was announced that the Mountain West would return to when they had their first game. And so for him to come back, yes, there's continuity with the coaching staff, right? He's hearing the same messages from Matt Mumme, their offensive coordinator. But as a true sophomore, to be doing what he's doing and taking care of the football after, you know, with an offseason or lack thereof, like this year, is absolutely incredible.
Tons of time to take a shot downfield. Dubs again the target, this time overthrown. You know, for Carson Strong, how did he get to Nevada if he's that talented? Summer of his senior year, suffered a pretty serious injury in high school. Might have been under-recruited, and that's what they were saying about this kid, that they feel like he kind of fell into their laps.
Yeah, to be having this much success early on in your career, it certainly begs the question, right? Was he under-recruited? But a lot of credit goes to Jay Norvell. A lot of credit goes to their offensive coordinator, Matt Mumme, the son of Hal Mumme, the father of the air raid offense, for bringing this kid along like this. It's as much development as anything else, too.
Devontae Lee is unable to get away from the tackle. Marcus Moore coming up.
One of the things Carson Strong wanted to improve on this year, too, is being more successful pushing the ball down the field, right? Improving that deep ball accuracy. And a lot of that stuff, too, is chemistry with your wide receivers. They don't even have Elijah Cook so far this year. He might, you know, he's out tonight, might be out for a longer period of time, looking for a second opinion with a shoulder issue. 76 catches last year. He's leaned heavily on Romeo Dubs because of that. The connection they've developed this offseason has been outstanding.
Third and long. Strong. Check down. Stovall makes the catch, but he comes up short, tackled by Elijah Shelton. They went for it on 4th down earlier tonight. We'll see what they do here.
Again, not bringing any pressure. Bringing 3 rushers. Keeping things in front of you, forcing Carson Strong to make a decision. We're going to another 4th down attempt here from the Nevada offense.
Same distance, too. This from the Utah State 45. Strong surveys, fires, complete. It's Lockhart. Chuck play, first down for the Wolfpack.
Justin Lockhart's another guy that's gotten more opportunities in the absence of Elijah Cooks at the wide receiver position. 10 catches on the year, 6 catches a week ago. Finds himself in single coverage running the post route. Another nice throw by Carson Strong, and a nice job by Justin Lockhart going up and making that play.
22 yards on the reception. Another dart over the middle, this time to the tight end, Cole Turner. It'll be 1st and goal for Nevada.
And the transformation of Cole Turner continues. We mentioned previously he was a wide receiver, put some weight on, became a tight end, still runs a lot of wide receiver routes, but that's a big body over the middle of the field. Only 6 career receptions entering the season. I think that's his 12th, I believe his 12th catch on the season, assuming he already had one today. Or that was a drop earlier, right? On the reviewed play?
Yeah, the review, yeah. 1st and goal for the Wolfpack at the Utah State 3. And Carson Strong, who is now 10 of 13 over the last 2 drives. Wound up with 88 yards, padded by some of the penalties the last drive, 60 this drive through the air.
Yeah, they move all the other wide receivers to the other side of the field and put Cole Turner all by himself to Carson Strong's left. He gets ISO'd up on Jared Reed. That's a matchup you want all day long. And he tries to throw kind of that back shoulder goal line fade ball just a little too high. Cole Turner's not able to gather his feet and go up and make the catch.
Second down, empty backfield. Strong lobs it over the head of Romeo Dubs. Incompletion brings up 3rd down.
Yeah, it was well defended by Utah State. They just bring Romeo Dubs in motion and try to run him on a quick out route. Kind of like a sprint right option feel where the quarterback rolls out to that side and just try to hit him right by the pylon. But it was well defended by Utah State. I'd like to see them once again get Cole Turner in a one-on-one situation. I think you go back to that. Whether it's a slant or a goal line fade, that's a matchup he can win. Now you see him down here in the slot right here, the big Cole Turner, the 6'6" tight end.
And off. And unable to get anywhere is Tower. And Utah State holds him again.
And again, we know Carson Strong has flexibility at the line of scrimmage. That's a loaded box right there. They're running into a numbers disadvantage against the Utah State defense, and credit to Utah State defensive front. This is a group that is without Richie Sonifata, one of their senior defensive tackles, and Hale Motuapuka getting in there as well, subbing in for Richie Sonifata and making a play up front.
The sophomore from Honolulu. They're going to go for it again here. And this time it's Romeo Dubs, who makes no mistake. You want to score? Dial up his number. 2nd TD for Dubs, and the Wolfpack have the lead.
Utah State elects to bring a little pressure, given a one-on-one situation to number 7, Romeo Dubs, and that's dangerous. You know, if here's a Hadri Jackson with no help inside, you got to play the fade honestly, and then Romeo Dubs sticks him outside and runs the slant route. That's almost impossible to cover against a DB like that. If I'm Hadri Jackson, I'm probably coming over to the sideline asking for a little help in the middle of the field to take away the slant. That's a tough ask against a receiver like that.
11 plays, 64-yard drive, and who else but Romeo Dubs on another connection from Carson Strong. His 2nd score tonight. Pack out in front. Well, the first 3 drives for Nevada, not great. 9 plays, 16 yards. The last 2 have resulted in scores.
Well, that's a cool customer right there. After that first touchdown, Hail Mary type play from Carson Strong. I don't think he showed any emotion at all, both after the catch or on the sideline. Just another touchdown for Romeo Dubs, right? Just another day in the office.
And how about the calls on 4th down and 2? You get a 20-yard completion downfield. And then on 4th and goal from the 3-yard line, pretty confident in finding Romeo Dubs. Nevada with their first lead.
If I'm Utah State, yes, you're down 14-9. Those last 2 drives didn't go very well defensively, but you have to stick to that formula that got you those points early on.
Draw play. Warren battles his way forward for 6.
I think it's best for Utah State to not try to keep pace with this Nevada offense necessarily. And remember, if we can dictate the tempo of this game, we can slow things down a little bit. We got to remember, this Utah State defense offensively played against Boise and San Diego State the last 2 weeks. This Nevada defense is not what those two defenses are.
Shelley got hit after the completion to Savon Scarver. First down for the Aggies.
All right, good to see Savon Scarver back out there as Shelley takes a nice little lick here after he gets rid of the football. You gotta be careful there, man. That's a defenseless player. We know how sensitive they get with the targeting situations these days.
Yeah, Hammond did a good job just hugging him in the end. This will be a tackle for loss on the carry for Warren. Back him up 1 or 2. Tackle by Zach Mahana.
Last play we saw Savon Scarver get a reception. Did not play week 1 against Boise. Played a little bit last week, working back from an injury. Playmaker, kick returner. Gives him some more speed on the outside.
Utah State was in the media kind of thrown a little bit of incentive. Bulletin board material from their coach. Called their performance last week pathetic. This week, little different story. Ooh, this is a dangerous pass off the hand of the intended target, Derek Wright. On the 0-2 start, Gary Anderson was talking about, well, we are who we are. This week, they are looking a lot better.
Yeah, you'll see Jason Shelley has Derek Wright down the field here. He's forced to roll out to his left and kind of throw across his body a little bit. Earlier in the play, he had a window to get it to Derek Wright, but that's a risky throw between two defenders. Check that thing down or get rid of it. Give yourself a chance to fight another day.
3rd and 12.
This is where Nevada wants to get pressure on Jason Shelley and also keep him in the pocket. Don't let him get outside. They struggled with that against UNLV a little bit last week in keeping the quarterback in the pocket.
On their own 43. Shelley trying to keep the play alive. He'll dump it off short, but it's incomplete, intended for Jalen Warren. Short-armed it a little bit, and the Aggies will punt.
Yeah, if you're looking at Gary Anderson there, that's frustrating because what he likes about Jason Shelley is his athleticism, right? His ability to extend plays, and he does that there. I think Jalen Warren had some running room. Just leaves, like you said, short-armed it a little bit. Leaves that thing a little bit low. Had a chance to get some yards there with Jalen Warren. Possibly put them in position to go for it on 4th down as well.
Nevada looking to get to 3-0 on the season as Romeo Dubs makes the fair catch at the Nevada 19. We'll step aside. The Wolfpack leading 14-9. Twisted down by A.J. Vongpachon after a gain of 7.
Toa, part of that two-headed monster at the running back position with Devontae Lee. And when they get a numbers advantage there, they're happy to hand it off to him. And that's the misnomer with this offense, right? You think you're playing an air raid team? They'll at times line up with 2 running backs in the backfield and a tight end and try to pound it right down your throat.
Swing pass caught by Torrey Horton. And he'll juke to the inside for a first down, brought down by Shaq Bond. It's interesting you mentioned that. Last week against UNLV, the play selection, 27 pass plays, 27 rushing.
Yeah, that was one of the questions I had from Matt Mumme. I said, look, that's your run-pass distribution. Does that surprise you? And his reaction was, no. Like, we've got a lot of air raid pass concepts when we do throw the ball. That's kind of the stuff you'll see. Right there you see Viatawa.
It's Toa's older brother. Strong looking deep again. It's Romeo Dubs. He's got him for the 3rd time. Romeo Dubs is putting on a show.
Not much emotion. Boy, again, it's the lapses, right? You're playing off coverage, and if you're Zahadri Jackson, you can't just sit flat-footed like that. Romeo Dubs has shown all year long the kind of elite speed he has down the field, and they've shown several times on film they're not afraid to let him run right by you, and Carson Strong will go to him repeatedly. So if you're Zahadri Jackson, you have to make him catch the ball in front of you, and you have to stay behind him. You're almost daring him to run, but you're giving him the middle of the field. There's no middle of the field help. There's no safety in the middle of the field. Boy, that's a tough ask. Another big play by Romeo Dubs.
But after a rough start, the Wolfpack got going with 3 scores to Romeo Dubs and a 21-9 lead. Coming up next, our State Farm halftime show. The Mountain West here on FS1. Nevada fell behind early. They lead 21-9 off 3 touchdowns from Romeo Dubs, who as of right now has more offense than the entire Utah State Aggies combined.
Yeah, he was no mystery coming in, and after the slow start for the Nevada offense, it took a big play from him down the field. You just saw to get them sparked. Then he gets that touchdown there on the slant in the red zone, and then again later on runs right by the corners of Hodgery Jackson for the deep post on the touchdown. Boy, we knew he was electric coming into this game, but he's been absolutely outstanding. 137 of Carson Strong's 263 passing yards.
Well, it's one thing to have a quarterback, and we've talked a lot about Carson Strong, and Matt Mumme was chatting with him a couple weeks ago, and the one thing he kept bringing up was kid's vision has improved so much. It's one thing to have that. It's another to have a receiver to throw to with explosive speed.
Well, I've been equally impressed, too, not only with his explosive plays down the field to Romeo Dubs, but also his willingness to take what the defense gives him. That's what leads to him having now 263 consecutive pass attempts with no interception, right? Leading the country in that stat. No one has a better streak going right now than he does, and that's because, yeah, he's going to take his shots to Romeo Dubs, but he's not going to force the ball into bad situations. Continues to take care of it, and that's another reason they've been successful so far tonight.
Off we go in the second half. And Utah State will get a touchback. Utah State led 9-0. 21 unanswered points for Nevada as Jalen Warren gets him started with a 1-yard pickup.
I haven't seen the volume of carries tonight for Jalen Warren that we expected. We know he missed last week because of an injury. We've seen more of Devontae Henry Cole, but remember in week 1, Jalen Warren had 23 carries.
Yeah. Last year he was featured heavily. First 3 games last year, 324 yards. But here's a big run for Warren. He gets 7 and brings up 3rd and short.
Yeah, last week was dressed on the sideline against San Diego State. So lower body injury. You see that brace on his left leg.
3rd and 2. Shelley hit as he throws, and it's too tall for Devin Tompkins.
Oh, he had a nice replay and was trying to throw the bubble outside. On the left side of this defensive line, it's an error in communication. Carson Terrell can't get there quick enough to seal off the edge against Sam Hammond. Probably their best pass rusher, right? You let him gain a head of steam like that. Timing is off. Carson Terrell can't get there. Blows up the play.
That's another 3rd down gone awry. 1 for 7 now, and on their 7th possession of the night, their 6th punt. Doug steps out at the 22. The only thing to guard against, and again we talked about it in terms of letdown coming into this game, as Strong pitches this to Jamal Bell, rounding the corner, turning upfield, and getting clipped on the way by Troy Leffridge. The only thing to guard against here, week 1 against Wyoming, they led 28-6 in the 3rd quarter. That lead was wiped out in the second half.
As we see Jamal Bell get around the corner there, the true freshman out of Lancaster, California. A slot speedster guy, like a legit 4.3, 4.4 40, trying to get the ball in his hands.
Still going here is Lockhart. Somebody's got to put a hand on him. Lockhart, who got a terrific lead block to set up this chunk play.
Well, you called it. He's got outstanding blocking on the perimeter. There you see Cole Turner, the tight end, out in front, eating up the corner, number 6, Cam Lampkin, leaving Troy Leffridge all by himself to make a tackle against Justin Lockhart.
35-yard run as Tawa is able to scamper out after a pickup of 3 on 1st down. Tawa is a little bit hurt.
Yeah, gets that ball out quickly to Tawa in the flat. He's shown his willingness to do that today. Carson Strong has, and this is a big ask for Utah State's defense. Again, we've talked a lot tonight about them wanting to keep things in front of them, but what it's resulted in is Carson Strong just having far too much time and rolling out of the pocket, extending the play, keeping his eyes downfield. They've had a lot of scramble drill throws that is just improvising out of the pocket.
Another check down. And this is Devontae Lee, who drags Elijah Shelton with him, setting up a 3rd and manageable.
Again, another 4- and 5-yard play. When you're going against an air raid passing attack like this, and you decide to sit back, you're waiting for the quarterback to make a mistake. And a lot of quarterbacks around the country, especially young ones, will eventually do that. They will force the ball. They will get frustrated. They'll go for the big play. And outside of going to Romeo Doubs a few times, he's been willing to take what this defense has given him.
I like what Jay Norvell told us. Looks at kids' transcripts before recruiting him, and Strong's is terrific. As he finds Lee tiptoeing along the sideline, could he stay in? The answer is yes. It's a 1st down for Nevada. How about this?
Devontae Lee out to the side, and Carson just works it just a tad for the completion.
So it's a 1st down for the Wolfpack at the Utah State 15. And again, Pack threatening a score here. 21 unanswered points. All have come from Carson Strong and Romeo Doubs. Tawa searching for a seam. Gets past the tackle. Tawa still on his feet. Touchdown. What a run. That is a physical 15-yard touchdown run for Toa Tawa.
We heard countless times over the course of the week how much this staff loves Toa Tawa and how they want to get him carries. You see that collision right there? That's Troy Leffridge. That's Utah State's most physical player in the secondary. Led the team in tackling last year. Had some injury issues earlier this year, but he comes up to challenge Toa Tawa. And Tawa gets the better of that one for a big touchdown run for this Nevada offense.
Extra point is good. And you can now make it 28 unanswered. The Nevada Wolfpack looking to get to 3-0 this season. Tawa's 2nd touchdown this year. 28-9 now. And Nevada already out to their first 2-0 start in Mountain West competition since 2013. They've got it all clicking now. Troy Leffridge can only watch and wonder what might have been different. We're talking about a pretty talented guy. Senior. But no match for Toa Tawa. Easily gets a handful on 1st down. Love became just the 5th player in Utah State history to be selected in the 1st round of the NFL draft.
And again, I think in bringing up Jordan Love and what he meant to this team, it also brings to light what they've lost from last year, right? Gerald Bright, their running back, their main back, CLC Mariner, their best receiver. And in week 1 against Boise State, this Utah State offense, or excuse me, this Utah State football team took the field, and 15 guys that had never played a down for Utah State were part of that attack. And they weren't all freshmen. Some were transfers, like Jason Shelley coming over from Utah. But Gary Anderson knows this is a process, right? He's in year 2, and he's got his work cut out for him here. And especially in a year like this in 2020, hasn't had the time to really break these guys in. So teams that have more continuity, like a Nevada offensively, where they've had this staff in place now for their 4th year, there's an obvious advantage, coming into games like this.
3rd and short here. Beasley, hand off to Warren. He gets the 1st down. Boy, they could get Warren going and might give him a little bit of hope here.
I will say, and we know Warren didn't play last week. He was available, as we heard, but he was on the sideline and never actually played. I don't think he looks 100% tonight. I don't think he looks like he has quite the burst that we saw in week 1 at times against Boise State. We've seen Devontae Henry Cole out there as well to probably kind of keep Jalen Warren on a little bit of a snap count.
Beasley fires incomplete, intended for Devin Tompkins. Haven't called his name much tonight.
And that's been the problem, right? In the drop back game and the play action game, when these quarterbacks get to the back of their drop, pushing the ball down the field, whether it's Andrew Beasley or whether it's Jason Shelley, pushing the ball down the field with accuracy. Like, the downfield passing game for this offense has been almost non-existent. And so defenses just don't have to play it honest. There's a lot they can do to try to take Jalen Warren away. Got to take some shots out there and start getting some completions.
There's Warren. Able to slip by the tackle. Nice arm tackle made by Lawson Hall, the senior from California. Pick up a 5, third 5 upcoming.
The staff on Utah State was also looking forward to seeing their offensive line respond after last week against San Diego State. They look at San Diego State's defensive front like a defense playing a triple option attack. It's such a different way of playing football that San Diego State does. They move their fronts around so much. They stem defensive linemen. They have all these exotic-looking fronts, and it's tough for an offensive line. So they were looking at this as being a little more of a traditional look.
On third down, Beasley nowhere close to Jordan Nathan, the intended target. That's been a frustrating night for the Aggies offense, and Andrew Beasley's second series comes to a close.
Well, he had a matchup out there that he liked with Jordan Nathan against Amani Johnson on the outside, and Jordan Nathan pushed up to about 15 yards, then just collided with the safety and didn't avoid him. He's trying to throw the out route and just got kind of tripped up.
This will bounce and roll down to the 10-yard line. And a punt. 46 yards. Big for this league, too. They have always a slew of good teams at the top. This year you've got Boise and San Diego State. And this Nevada team, if they can make a statement here, maybe they can crack the top 25 next week. Here's Tawa running downhill. Look out! Tawa finally hauled down inside the Utah State 30 as he rips off a big run. 60 yards.
Well, it's a numbers game once again, and when Carson Strong turnarounds and hands it off, he likes what he sees on the defense. And it's the one-on-one matchups out in space that the running backs have to win. And that time, number 33, Kevin Metzenheimer from the Utah State defense, comes up and tries to make a tackle and just sees a nasty stiff arm from Toa Tawa.
Yeah, they're still going with Justin Lockhart getting 7 on first down.
I also credit on a play like that these receivers on the outside. And remember, this is an air raid offense, right? Or we're led to believe. So it's air raid personnel. And these receivers on the outside, they are blocking physically, because big chunk plays like that in the run game, they only happen if your receivers are willing to block people down the field. And every receiver in that play had their hands on a defender to spring Toa Tawa loose for a big game.
If the route wasn't on before, the way Nevada has sprinted away here. 28 unanswered points. Tawa's run, by the way, at 60 yards, second longest of his career. Devontae Lee now. Looked like he was about to be stopped up in the backfield. Fights for a couple of extra yards. It'll be third and short.
Yeah, a lot of three-man fronts so far for Utah State, meaning you'll see here 3 guys up on the line of scrimmage. And those players, those linebackers at the second level are 3 to 4 yards off the ball, and they're not coming downhill. That ball is handed off. So it's not difficult for this Nevada offensive line to get and cover up those defensive linemen. And you're looking at easily 3 to 4 yards a clip on plays like that that don't really look very valuable for the Nevada offense.
Wildcat, direct snap to Devontae Lee. He has the first down. He wanted more.
Boy, Devontae Lee at 5'9", 235. That's a physical back. And he's their go-to option in these short yardage, goal line situations. You'll see him a lot inside the 5-yard line. Really is built like a fullback, and he's physical as heck, and he will run you over. And that's his bread and butter right there with a direct snap.
Because Tawa missed the season opener. Lee by yardage as Utah State's leading rusher coming into the day. First down for the Pack. Strong, unable to get away. He's sacked back at the 30-yard line. Good to see Justice Tae back in the game as part of this.
Well, you'll see Marcus Moore come off the edge at the bottom of your screen, 95. Does a great job with his hands, but they also brought the corner blitz there. Number 7, Xavion Steele. He was going to get there too. So a little bit lapse in coverage. Aaron Frost, the right tackle, gets beat by Marcus Moore. They didn't have an answer too to Xavion Steele screaming off the edge. That left Romeo Doubs uncovered too for a good 4 to 5 seconds. Carson Strong didn't see it.
First sack of the season for Moore. No matter for Tawa as he powers ahead to the 20. Still a long ways to go on this third down.
Or Tawa's made a living there on the outside. 6 catches today, catching those swing routes for now 40 yards, and does a good job getting his eyes around quickly, expecting the football. You see getting a nice little lead block from his offensive lineman, right tackle Aaron Frost as well. Had a little issue on the play before, but goes and redeems himself out in the open field against the defensive back.
Gotta believe Tawa will get all-conference consideration before long. Freshman of the year in the Mountain West 2 years ago. On third down, pressure coming. Strong over the middle, incomplete. Troy Leffridge was hovering. Made a play on the ball. Brings up fourth down.
Oh, I think there was a miscommunication on that play. Justin Lockhart and Romeo Doubs kind of ended up in the same area on the field. And it's interesting because Romeo Doubs and Cole Turner kind of did a little bit of a switch release. And Romeo Doubs was running wide open down the middle of the field, but he looked confused. He just should have turned around and looked for the football, and they might have had a chance to hit him. Yeah, they're talking to each other there. Something didn't seem right. They ended up in the exact same spot.
37-yard try for Brandon Talton, and it's good. And now he is 4 for 4 this year. Tawa's run set it up. A 60-yard ripper. 31-9. Carson Strong chatting with offensive coordinator Matt Mumme. Starting to describe earlier how they recruit here at Nevada, and one of the things that they try to do is look at high school transcripts. And head coach Jay Norvell said that's the first thing he looks for in a quarterback. Look at the transcript. If he's a good student, he'll be a good student of the game.
Well, and to be clear, like obviously when you recruit guys, you're always going to need to see their transcripts to see if they're eligible. But Jay Norvell's point and Matt Mumme's point, the offensive coordinator, you see both of them right there talking to Carson Strong. They've taken a step further. They said, look, I want to see that the guy's a straight-A student. I want to get a sense that if he's going to come in and he's going to run my offense and he's going to get the freedom and the flexibility that we want to give our quarterback, he's got to be a good student. Otherwise, that's a red flag for us, right? And so that's a prerequisite to be a guy on this team that runs this offense, and they're getting great returns from that right now.
Great completion for Andrew Pisa.
And this staff, too, what you're seeing from this Nevada team and this explosion so far this year, and if they're able to hang on here tonight, getting to 3-0, which is their goal here, it really is a culmination of building this thing over the last couple of years, right? Now this is the 4th year for Jay Norvell, and we asked the Utah State defensive staff, we said, you know, what makes this offense so successful? He said, they've just made a commitment to what they want to do, and they're in a position now where they can actually do that because they've got enough continuity with their personnel. And so for Jay Norvell being 20-20 as a head coach so far at Nevada, winning 7 regular season games each of the last 2 years, you really feel like this year, what we've seen so far, that things are really starting to come together for this program under Jay Norvell.
Got some trivia for you. One of the last time Nevada started the season 3-0?
I'm going to go ahead and guess 2010.
Yeah.
How about that, huh?
Colin Kaepernick. 13-1. Almost ran the table in the WAC. be something. A team that is perennially a threat in the Mountain West, as Utah State has another 3 and out here.
Boy, since Andrew Peasley entered the game, they've clearly made more of a commitment, either with play calling or Andrew Peasley himself has done it, to push the ball down the field a bit more. He's just been off target. It's been the better part of the game so far on the sideline. This is a big ask to come in and do this stuff, but they've had some opportunities. They've just missed a couple throws down the field.
Not a great punt, but it'll take a Utah State roll down to the 28. Strong continues to be dynamic, and he continues to find receivers. Cole Turner, another first down.
And again, we've mentioned this before, but these guys on the outside for Nevada, paired with their quarterback, it's far too talented of a group to let Carson Strong just sit back there and assess this thing like he has. Now, I'm not sure what the answer is for Utah State, because if you start bringing pressure and sacrificing coverage on the back end and adding linebackers into blitzes, now you put guys on an island with guys like Romeo Doubs and Cole Turner, and that's a big ask too. So again, what we're seeing on display is just the threat that Nevada possesses, both from their air raid passing scheme and having the right personnel mixed in, and their willingness to turn around and give the ball to a stud like Toa. It is a potent offense. It's been on full display tonight.
And you got a third stringer, Avery Morrow, who just ripped off 18. Freshman. As Lockhart reels in this grab, and the Wolfpack are just pouring it on now.
You know, one of the tenets of this offense, too, when Jay Norvell arrived and hired Matt Mumme as his offensive coordinator, they said, you know, we sat down and we talked about our philosophy, and we knew we'd have some good passing concepts built in, air raid passing concepts, but we got to make a commitment to running the football, and they've clearly done that. It's been really impressive.
End of the third. And Nevada is pouring it on. 31 unanswered points as they look to get to 3-0. Nevada. Wow, what a difference from the first couple series in this game.
Yep.
31 unanswered. Romeo Doubs with 3 scores.
Because it's all about passing the football, and you're kind of willing to give up running the football. And so that's what's really interesting about this team. And asking Jay Norvell, hey, you know, you guys got the air raid label that people love to talk about, yet you guys are willing to run up and pound the football. And he just laughed. He said, look, you guys call it the air raid thing all you want. What I call it the Nevada offense, right? That's what we're going to do. And we mentioned last week, 27 passes, 27 runs. It's a mentality. If you can master the passing game the way they have and still have a willingness to line up and do it, you can change the way people think in 2020 about defending the air raid, which has been a lot of drop 8 and rush 3.
Strong to the sideline, overthrows Doubs. Well, that's the dimension for Nevada that maybe will vault them into the conversation in the Mountain West.
Yeah, again, I mentioned, you know, Boise State being a heavy favorite, as we're going to get another chance here on, see if they'll go for it here on 4th down. Boise State being the favorite, and teams like Nevada, Wyoming, San Diego State feeling like they can vie for a Mountain West title. No divisions this year. They'll just take the top 2 teams in the conference, and they'll do it based off winning percentage, because not every team's playing the same amount of games.
Tawa already over 100 yards. And again, a 4th down conversion. That's their 3rd of the night.
When you've been this efficient offensively, why look to your punter on 3rd down? Well, excuse me, on 4th down. And you've got a guy in Carson Strong that is willing to not force it, not make mistakes. Been very patient, taking what the defense gives him, willing to dump it out in the flat to Toa. Playmakers on the outside. And like we see just now here on 4th down on 4th and 2. Once again out to Toa in the flat, who's done an excellent job catching the football tonight.
Beg your pardon, it is the 4th conversion tonight on 4th down. Tawa's career high, just for reference, is 170s and 104 plus right now.
Yeah. You might ask too, like, who is this offense seeing this year, right? UNLV last week. Well, week 1, Wyoming. Greg Bowl team that's a pretty well-coached defense. And they had their way against Wyoming for the most part offensively. They do not play Boise this year in the regular season.
Yeah. So
they could meet them potentially in the Mountain West Conference Championship game.
Wouldn't that be something?
Interesting miss for them in the regular season, though.
Lockhart. That's another first.
Nice easy throw and catch out in the flat. Carson Strong to Justin Lockhart, who we again referenced has had a role that's increased significantly in the absence of Elijah Cooks, one of their best receivers from a year ago, who continues to be out with an injury. And I mentioned what this offense did against Wyoming just a couple weeks ago. Carson Strong was 75% passer, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So they have seen a very good defense already this year.
And it's still 0 interceptions. As Dubs gets cut down in the backfield by Shaq Bond. And now Strong is over 400 yards passing for the night.
I think as we get later into the fourth quarter here, you see they're going to give a reverse to Romeo Dubs. Probably, if I'm Jay Norvell and I'm Matt Mumme, I'm probably limiting Romeo Dubs' exposure on the perimeter to hits like that. Yes, this game is not over, but at the same time, like with how this thing is played out, probably limiting how many hits I expose Romeo Dubs to, given how important he is to this offense moving forward.
I think it pretty much make it over with score here. Strong still buying time and flips it away.
Yeah, that's the other difficult part here. We saw Jared Reed come off the edge earlier in this possession and get a sack. But oftentimes we've seen them rush 3 tonight. At times they've added Nick Henninger, who's a little bit more athletic as a linebacker, into the blitz as well, or excuse me, into the pass rush. But right there, you have Justice Tae coming off. These are mostly defensive linemen that are rushing the quarterback tonight. And that's just not difficult for Carson Strong to get away from that pass rush and sidestep some of those rushers. We're not talking about athletic linebackers off the edge. Yes, Justice Tae is a good pass rusher for a defensive lineman, but not hard for Carson Strong to get away.
Strong incomplete here, aiming for Lockhart. Bring up 4th down. So another attempt here for Brandon Talton coming. Still perfect on the season, 4 for 4. Former all-conference selection. Well, the aim is to get this Nevada program that's always been a contender. Elevate and be a favorite. They're in the conversation now. 26-yard attempt for Talton. Chip shot by his standards. And it is good for Talton. Thumbs up from Carson Strong. Nice night. Another 400-yard night for the QB. Mackey Stadium in Reno. And the home team enjoying a comfortable lead. Nevada Wolfpack getting votes in the coaches poll this week. Everybody's got the big tilts. It's not even a conference game tomorrow circled on the calendar. Boise and BYU. Won't have any bearing on the Mountain West Championship, but massive game in terms of college football playoff implications for BYU. It's over 4 minutes to go here in Reno. And the Nevada Wolfpack, pretty comprehensive performance. After a first quarter where they fell behind 9-0. Utah State has punted on every possession but one. That was their scoring drive. Got another 2 points on a safety to begin the game. It's got to be a little disappointing, I think, for this Utah State team, and especially on the offensive side of it. You know Nevada's going to put up points, but they had nothing going offensively tonight.
Yeah, the question is, where do they go from here, right? I mean, you look at Gary Anderson. It's the second stint at Utah State. Was there from 2009 to 2012, revived the program at that time and snapped a streak of 11 straight losing seasons when he got there. Took him all the way to being an 11-win team at the end of his tenure there. Then takes off, goes to Wisconsin. Had success there and ends up at Oregon State. In the middle of the season in 2017, leaves the team. Spent some time at Utah in 2018, then gets the job again. So, look, this is a tough year, right? I mean, there's a lot of newcomers. It's a shortened year. It's a modified offseason. The reason he was hired is to, once again, kind of bring this program back to where he had it back in 2012. But he's got his work cut out for him. And 2020 is going to be a big challenge. A lot of new faces, different year, a lot of restrictions. You got to believe at some point this year he's going to really start gearing up for 2021 and thinking about the future and make sure and get guys some meaningful play time, really go hard on the recruiting trail as he tries to get this thing back on track at Utah State.
Well, the fact that Matt Wells was able to do so well here, following on Anderson's success. I like Makakona here getting a late carry in the ball game.
I think the signature in the first era for Gary Anderson here was an athletic quarterback, right? You look in 2012, Chucky Keaton, and the success they had with him. That's why he liked Jason Shelley. Now, they're different players, but Jason Shelley certainly has some athleticism. Kind of a dual threat guy, but just hasn't been able to find the success through the air.
I think they also want to get their quarterback a little bit of confidence here. Jason Shelley seemed a bit rattled at times tonight. He has pretty good athleticism. This is off the hands of Justin McGriff. Caught the lone touchdown pass for the Aggies tonight.
I think the key thing to remember of Jason Shelley, too, I mean, he's had some success playing the position at Utah, the University of Utah in 2018. Then starting quarterback at that time, Tyler Huntley, gets hurt. He steps in, and now a great defense that year, too, but he steps in and leads Utah to the Pac-12 championship game where they lost to the University of Washington in a defensive battle. But he's had a lot of meaningful experience at, the high Division I Power 5 level.
And, not to be too repetitive, it's pretty long shadow from Jordan Love that you've got to play in, as they'll get a first down here. I think this Utah State team, probably one of those that didn't benefit from the added time. And not that any team benefited from the way the offseason went this year, but
look, the reality is, you're absolutely right. Every team is dealing with it this year. So no coach is going to try to make it an excuse. However, some teams are more built to sustain it, right? Through continuity, through having better leadership with returning players. Coordinators are coming back. Head coaches are coming back. This Utah State team, new offensive coordinator and Bodie Reeder. So there's a lot of adjustments to be made. And on the defensive side of the ball, Stacey Collins and Frank Miley, they were coaching other positions last year. They were not co-defensive coordinators. And so there's a lot to grow into in 2020 when, frankly, there just wasn't enough time to practice and get ready.
The end zone. And the jump ball pops off the hands of McGriff. Third down, 44 seconds left.
I don't think with about 44 seconds left, I don't think a jump ball to McGriff, I don't think that's the first time we should be seeing that, right? To be fair, Justin McGriff has not had a ton of success so far this year. Came into the game, 8 catches for 56 yards, but they were telling us what kind of threat he presents on the outside. They kind of shrugged and just said, look, we just got to give him chances down the field. And so you saw one right there. Saw one in the end zone earlier, but that's something you probably want to see a little more of in this offense to see if he can convert for you.
I would love to see, again, it's easy for us here from 10,000 feet, right, to ask for how Utah State could play a game differently that, honestly, they were not favored to win this game.
Yeah.
This is a tough matchup, and their schedule. You have faced the consensus probably top 3 teams in the league in the first 3 weeks. Boise, San Diego State, Nevada. That's a tough sled.
That's a tough out. There's no question about that. And as far as what could have been done differently, look, we know Nevada. So turnover on downs there for Utah State's offense.
So Nevada will Getting victory formation when we come back. Boise BYU tomorrow night on FS1. Huge game out west as the weekend gets underway with a blowout victory for the Nevada Wolfpack. They're howling. First 3-0 start since Colin Kaepernick led them to a 13-1 finish in 2010.
Outstanding start so far this year for this Nevada football team under Jay Norvell. Story of the night continues to be the consistent play of Carson Strong and playmakers on the outside like Romeo does. And this team has put itself squarely in the discussion of a team to keep a close eye on down the stretch in Mountain West play. Favorable schedule. Things are looking up for Jay Norvell's Wolfpack.
Keep an eye on them, for sure. 34-9 the final here in Reno tonight. For Evan Moore and our entire Fox Sports crew, this is Alex Faust bidding you a good evening from the Silver Stakes.